Summer 1914, Oreium Theater, Chicago. A street photographer, Samuel Reeves, lifts his camera and snaps a routine picture of a man standing outside the theater. The man wears a wool suit, a bowler hat, and holds a movie ticket between his fingers. Nothing unusual. The Perils of Pauline plays on the marquee behind him. Horses, carriages, gas lamps, everything matches the time period perfectly. Except one detail no one notices for 105 years. October 2019. Dr. Beatrice Clean, a curator at the Chicago Historical Archive, is digitizing old glassplate negatives. She loads the Oreium-1914 negative, scans it, and zooms in to check clarity. Her breath catches, her coffee falls and smashes on the floor. Asterisk on the man's ticket is a modern UPC barcode, clear, sharp, impossible. The negative is authentic paper. Chemical composition, grain structure, everything dates to 1914. No digital manipulation, no tampering, no double exposure. She calls forensic expert Dr. Marcus Webb. He runs every test he knows. Grain matches perfectly. No foreign layer. No evidence of editing. The barcode is part of the original. Exposure. Something from the future is sitting inside a photograph from 1914. Beatrice that stares at the image long after Marcus leaves. The man with the bowler hat keeps smiling his faint, shy smile. And the barcode keeps whispering a question she cannot ignore. How did something from our world appear in his? 3 days after the barcode shock, Beatrice was cataloging more of Samuel Reeves's boxes when she noticed a small metal film canister wedged behind a stack of portrait negatives. Old, dented, almost invisible, on the label, written in fading ink. Oreium, October 1914, do not open. Her stomach tightened. She opened it anyway. Inside, 23 feet of brittle, 35mm motion picture film, not photos, actual early cinema footage. The emulsion was cracked. The reels but undeniably from the 1910s. She rushed it into the archives, climate-controlled vault, and called a film restoration specialist. It took 6 weeks to stabilize and digitize. When the restored footage finally played on the screen, Beatrice forgot to breathe. The same theater, the same street. The same man with the ticket, but now moving, alive, checking his pocket watch. People walked by in the jerky rhythm of early cinema, and then, frame 247 amperes, young woman walked into. If you but her clothes weren't from 1914. Her jacket had a synthetic shine, her pants were modern cut, her shoes had thick rubber soles. In her hand, glowing softly, was a smartphone. She scrolled. On a Chicago sidewalk in 1914. Beatrice replayed that second 17 times. Then came frame 312, even worse, a man in jeans, hoodie, white sneakers, holding a modern digital DSLR camera telephoto lens. And he was taking pictures of the man with the ticket, the same man from the original 1914 photo. Beatrice whispered. Someone from our time was there, documenting it. Marcus arrived, saw the footage, and his skepticism died instantly. Beatrice, this isn't a hoax, he muttered. If the emulsion dates correctly, this film was exposed in 1914, but the people in it aren't. The two stared at the screen in silence, the projector humming softly. The barcode was no accident, the smartphone was no coincidence. The photographer with the DSLR wasn't lost. They were all connected to the same moment, the same man, the same theater. Something or someone had gone back to 1914, and this film wasn't an accident. It was evidence. While examining the rest of Reeves's archive, Beatrice discovered a thin leather portfolio tucked between 2 boxes. Inside were handwritten notes, dated October 8, 1914, the same day the mysterious photograph was taken. One entry froze her blood. He paid me $20 more than I make in 2 months to be at the Oreium at exactly 3:47 p.m. Said I must photograph the man with the ticket. Only him, no one else. The handwriting was shaky, rushed. He knew things about me nobody should know. My daughter's illness, the money I needed. How? Then the final line. He told me to burn the negative. But something in his eyes. I couldn't. Beatrice reread the note a dozen times. Someone from the future, someone who knew Samuel personally, someone with knowledge he shouldn't have, paid him to take that exact photo at that exact minute. Not a random capture, a planned moment, a moment someone needed to exist. If Samuel had burned the negative like he was told, the barcode would never be discovered. The footage would be meaningless. The story would disappear. But he didn't. And now Beatrice understood the most terrifying possibility. Someone from the future was controlling the past, deliberately planting events into history. This photograph wasn't evidence, it was a message, The deeper Beatrice dug into the Oreium Theater's history, the darker the timeline became. While searching old Chicago Tribune archives, She found a short, almost forgotten article dated October 12, 1914, just 4 days after Samuel took the mysterious photograph. Headline: Marquis falls at Oreium Theater, 1 dead, several injured. Victim: Robert Callahan, age 32, the theater's projectionist. A routine accident, the report claimed. Metal fatigue, loose bolts, structural failure. Beatrice almost closed the file until she noticed one detail that stopped her cold. Robert Callahan left behind a wife, Alina. She was 5 months pregnant. Beatrice checked birth records. February 1915. A daughter was born, Martha Callahan. That name hit her like a punch, because Martha Callahan grew up to become a wealthy philanthropist. And in 1972, she created the Callahan Foundation for Scientific Research, a foundation responsible for funding dozens of groundbreaking physics studies, including proposals involving closed time-like curves, the theoretical backbone of time travel. Even worse, in 1998, the Callahan Foundation funded a research team at CERN working on temporal mechanics, the team that later employed a strange, brilliant physicist, Dr. Nathan Torres, the man who would disappear in 2003, leaving behind notes about timeline manipulation, and who appears in the 1914 footage holding a modern camera. Beatrice felt her skin tighten. If Robert Callahan had lived, then no death gives no grief, gives no foundation, gives no scientific grants, gives no temporal physics research, gives no time travel, gives no time travelers in 1914, gives no barcode, gives no smartphone, woman, gives no Nathan Torres in the footage. His death created the chain of events that made time travel possible. And if time travel existed because he died, then someone from the future had a reason to protect that death, or worse, ensure it happened. A terrifying thought hit her. What if the Marquis falling wasn't an accident at all? What if the time travelers sabotaged it to protect their own existence? Beatrice whispered to herself, this isn't a loop. It's a sacrifice the timeline demands. 6 months into the investigation, Beatrice became obsessed. She watched the restored 1914 footage frame by frame, hunting for patterns, mistakes, anything that explained why people from the future were standing in front of a silent film theater. One night, while reviewing the sequence again, she noticed a detail she had somehow missed. The man in modern clothing, hoodie, jeans, white sneakers, the one holding the digital DS. For 3 frames, he turned his head toward the camera angle where Samuel Reeves had been standing. And for the first time, his face was visible. Beatrice froze the frame, zoomed in, enhanced contrast, sharpened edges. The face was grainy but undeniably clear enough. She ran the scan through facial recognition software. Through historical databases. Through university staff directories, through missing persons lists. One match came. Dr. Nathan Torres, theoretical physicist, CERN researcher, author of a controversial paper on temporal paradoxes. Vanished in 2003 without explanation. The last thing he left behind was a half-erased message on his office whiteboard. Some deaths echo forward, some echo back. The choice was made before it was made. Beatrice called Nathan's only living relative his sister in New Mexico, hoping for something, anything. The sister said, he called me 1 week before he disappeared. He sounded scared, but excited. Said he'd figured out how causality bends, kept repeating one word, Oreium. I thought he was losing his mind. I didn't understand he was saying goodbye. When the call ended, Beatrice leaned back in her chair, heart sinking. Nathan Torres hadn't disappeared. He had stepped backward, into 1914, and he hadn't gone there by accident. His presence had a purpose, a mission, a reason tied to Robert Callahan's death, and the birth of time travel itself. But one question began to claw at Beatrice's mind. If Nathan Torres traveled back to 1914, why didn't he come back? What had happened in that timeline or because of it that made return impossible, or worse? 3 weeks after confirming Nathan Torres's identity, Beatrice received a plain, unmarked package at her office. No return address, no stamps. Someone had delivered it by hand. Inside the box was 1. A movie ticket stub from the Oreium Theater, dated October 8, 1914. 2. A single sheet of white paper with a typed message. 3. Nothing else. The ticket was old, real, 1914 paper stock, but printed on it, sharp and impossible, was the same modern UPC barcode from the original photograph. Hands shook. Somebody knew exactly what she had discovered. Somebody wanted her to see this. She unfolded the note. The message was short, typed with no signature, no watermark, no identifiers. The photograph exists because it must exist. The ticket exists because it must exist. Robert Callahan died because his death must exist. You cannot change what has already happened, even when what has already happened is your own attempt to change it. We are sorry. We tried. We failed. We learned too late asterisk that our trying was always part of the failure. The marquee fell. The timeline held. Some anchors cannot be pulled. Some echoes cannot be silenced. Stop looking. There is no answer that will give you peace asterisk, only questions that will consume. You turn back before you become them too. Beatrice stared at the paper, feeling her chest tighten. This wasn't a threat, it was a confession. Someone had attempted to change the past, and their attempt had become the very thing that locked the tragedy in place. She read the final lines again. Asterisk, some anchors cannot be pulled. Asterisk, some echoes cannot be silenced. Asterisk, these people, time travelers, physicists, whatever they were, had tried to prevent Callahan's death. Asterisk, and by trying, they had become the reason it happened. A predestination trap, a loop with no mercy. The most chilling part wasn't the warning, was the apology. Asterisk, whoever wrote this had already been destroyed by the same questions now, swallowing Beatrice. Asterisk, she folded the note, placed it back in the envelope and realized something terrifying. Asterisk, the handwriting on Samuel Reeves's old note. Asterisk, the typed letter. Asterisk, and the strange choices made in 1914. They weren't random. Someone wasn't just documenting the timeline. Asterisk, someone was curating it, making sure history stayed exactly the way the future needed. Asterisk, and Beatrice was now standing in the crosshairs of a truth that erased anyone who got too close. Asterisk, Beatrice returned to the Oreium photographs again, desperate for anything she'd missed. She printed the images, examined them under light, compared them with earlier scans. That's when she saw it. In the October 8, 1914, photograph just 4 days before the tragedy, the marquee above the theater entrance looked wrong. A bolt hung loose, the iron frame looked twisted. Asterisk, parts of the structure seemed weakened. Asterisk, but in Samuel Reeves's earlier photographs of the same location taken only weeks before, the marquee was perfect. No damage, no twisted supports, no loose bolts. Someone had sabotaged it. Asterisk, someone had deliberately weakened the structure between those dates. Asterisk, and if the marquee was weakened intentionally, asterisk, then Robert Callahan's accident had been engineered. Her stomach tightened. The time travelers hadn't just witnessed the tragedy asterisk, they had caused it. Asterisk, she rushed to the digital archive and opened the highest resolution version of the October 8 photograph. She zoomed in on the damaged bolt asterisk, except now, the bolt was tight, secure, no damage at all. Beatrice blinked, zoomed in again. Same result. She checked a second scan from another machine. Damage visible. A third scan. Asterisk, damage gone. A fourth. Back again. Asterisk, her pulse spiked. This wasn't human tampering. This wasn't a glitch. Asterisk, it was the negative itself. Asterisk, she pulled the original 1914 glass negative from the vault and examined it under multiple microscopes. Then she had it scanned on 3 different machines at different resolutions. Asterisk, each scan showed a different version of the marquee, sometimes damaged, sometimes intact. Asterisk, sometimes half-twisted, half-straight, as if reality couldn't settle on a single outcome. Asterisk, it was like the negative contained multiple timelines overlapping, competing, trying to decide which one was the true version of history. That both loosened and didn't. The marquee both collapsed and held. Callahan both lived and died, a superposition. But in photography, not physics. The timeline wasn't fixed, it was flickering, undecided. Her breath caught. Someone wasn't just preserving history, someone was editing it, and reality itself hadn't finalized which version it wanted. Asterisk, and now, Beatrice was witnessing the fight. Asterisk, she documented every scan, every anomaly, every shifting state. She wrote for hours, describing the negative's instability with clinical precision. Asterisk, when she finally stopped to breathe, she understood the truth. The timeline was still choosing, still adjusting. Asterisk, still fighting to decide which version of 1914 would survive. Asterisk, and she had seen too much. Asterisk, the question now wasn't what happened to Callahan. Asterisk, it was whether the timeline would allow her to keep knowing it. Beatrice tried to return to normal work, but the timeline refused to let her forget. Asterisk, every night, she dreamed the same scene. The Oreium Theater, October 1914. Cold air, crowds gathering. Asterisk, and the marquee above the entrance, sometimes damaged, sometimes perfectly intact, flickering between realities like a dying light bulb. Asterisk, in those dreams, she always stood at the curb, watching Robert Callahan walk inside. Asterisk, she could warn him, save him, break the loop, but she never moved because she wasn't dreaming. Asterisk, she was remembering. Asterisk, the moment that realization hit, she felt sick. Memories don't come from dreams, memories come from experience. Asterisk, which meant somewhere, in some version of the timeline, she had been there standing in 1914, watching the event unfold. Not a dream, not imagination. Asterisk, a memory bleeding through from an alternate path the timeline had erased. Asterisk, that was when she sought answers, directly. Asterisk she walked into the Callahan Foundation headquarters and demanded a meeting with its director, Gerald Moss. She brought her files, her scans, the impossible negative, the anonymous letter. Asterisk Moss listened calmly, almost knowingly. Then he told her the part no one else knew. Late in life, Martha Callahan, the unborn daughter of the man who died under the marquee, received a visitor, a physicist, a man with tired eyes. Asterisk a man carrying photographs from 1914, showing her father's death and the people who ensured it. Nathan Torres. He told her everything. Asterisk he explained that if her father survived, she wouldn't be born, the foundation wouldn't exist, the research wouldn't be funded, time travel would never be discovered, and he, the man standing in front of her, would never exist to warn her. Martha had to choose a miracle that saved her father, or the knowledge that explained why he died. Moss said she chose knowledge. Asterisk. She accepted the tragedy, funded the research, created the same chain of events that would eventually send Nathan Torres back in time, to show her the very photographs that convinced her to create the foundation. A perfect loop, a trap disguised as destiny. Moss leaned back and said quietly, "The timeline defends itself. Dr. Clean. Some deaths are fixed points. Some moments are anchors. You're asking questions reality cannot allow you to answer." Asterisk Beatrice left the building hollow, knowing the truth was bigger, older, and more ruthless than she had imagined. Asterisk that night, she looked again at the photograph, the man with the ticket and the impossible barcode. His faint smile felt different now, almost knowing, almost taunting. She zoomed in on the marquee again. This time, she watched it shift deliberately. Damaged, repaired, damaged, repaired, as if the universe itself were breathing. Asterisk a decision still wasn't final. Asterisk the timeline hadn't chosen which version of 1914 was true. Asterisk and she realized something horrifying. Asterisk if the timeline was still deciding. Asterisk then someone, somewhere, was still trying to change it. Asterisk maybe Nathan Torres hadn't died, maybe he was still moving through time. Maybe others were, too, trying, failing, trying again, and each attempt was imprinting onto the photograph, like scars from multiple realities. Asterisk she shut off the computer and sat in silence. Asterisk the room felt heavier. Asterisk then a final, brutal understanding hit her. Asterisk the reason she remembered standing in 1914 was because she would the loop hadn't finished yet. Asterisk someone from the future would attempt another correction. Asterisk and she already knew she'd be pulled into it. Willingly or not, the timeline wasn't done with her. She opened a drawer and looked at the item she swore she'd never touch again. The 1914 movie ticket stub with the modern barcode, a paradox carved into paper, a message from a future that already happened, an anchor tying her fate to a moment she hadn't lived yet, but remembered anyway. The photograph remained. The man kept smiling. The barcode kept waiting. Outside the Oreium Theater in some forgotten October afternoon, the marquee hung in a state between falling and holding. Asterisk and Beatrice Clean understood the final truth. Some timelines aren't just observed, they are enforced, and she had just become part of the enforcement.